So, the next session, from passion to profession, cultivating skills for creative economy.
So now we have policy in place. So what next? What we should do in next 5 years will be the discussion in this panel. So I'll start with Ashish ji because Ashish ji is the most senior most person in this segment and he knows Kerala very well. I think in last 2 years he has visited Kerala at least 2 dozen times or more. So he knows Kerala very well. Kerala have all the right ingredients, the abundant talent, the rich cultural heritage, the institutions like Kalamandalam, and we have good tourism brand. So the question is, when we have all these things, AVGC sector, how we can make it emerging? How can Kerala's unique cultural strengths be leveraged to nurture globally competitive talent for creative sector, maybe specific to AVGC? And one more question is there. What steps should local educators and government take to ensure that youth can translate the creative passion into sustainable professions within the AVGC sector? Because this question comes, or we are discussing these things in the context of a global report which says 10% of the global GDP is going to come from creative economy, the UN report. So Ashish ji, over to you.
First of all, thanks for inviting us to the Kerala Skills Summit, Global Summit, I mean. And, you know, a very important thing is that the government of Kerala has already made a policy and which is under implementation right now. And actually, thanks to Anup sir for getting the policy done and also getting it to the implementation phase. The most important thing about Kerala is that, you know, you have an inherent creative talent. You have so many art forms, and we all are talking about anime as a, as a cult following that even our kids are there. But what we need to concentrate is through this policy, if we can actually empower most of the comic book artists to create the local art forms, and the Kerala mural art can be transformed into animation and the comic books, and also then it will find its way into the gaming, and there are quite a few other art forms. So I think instead of creating a kind of a situation where the kids are going out of Kerala to get educated, we need to make sure that the school need to have enough creative programs and techno-creative programs for them, and it needs to be at par with science and commerce so that they can select their career right in the school days and actually nurture their skills. That Kerala can do very well. Second is that in the higher education we need to bring about, and I know that you have passed a bill for private universities to come in. It is, it needs the final nod from the governor, but I'm hopeful that it comes faster so that we should be able to have world-class campuses nurtured here so that people don't have to go out. But I foresee, because of the art and culture of Kerala, the Biennale that doesn't happen anywhere else in India. There are several people who are into, doing concerts here. They're amazing bands here. I think we should make Kerala a great education hub whereby we invite students from all over the world to come here and experience all these things, because what's going to be missing out into the digital ecosystem is it's going to be all the same everywhere. But what makes it different is the culture, food, and the whole ecosystem of learning. And I think that's the plus point of Kerala, and Kerala should not lose on that to the technology. Although a lot of people are going to talk about technology, but I'm saying that the foundation should not be lost. I had been with Philip to one fabulous university in Kerala called Kalamandalam, and the intake of students happens at the age of 14, 15 when they are in 8th in the university, because the art form that they are preparing themselves for in the university, they need to actually enter at a raw age so that their muscles in the facials and the otherwise their body should get prepared to perform on that art form. This kind of university doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And I think what we need to do is to empower people to make their careers into these areas and give them a right direction so that we can actually take that forward. In the startup mission, I've seen there's a lot of push for the creative entrepreneurs to take it forward. And I think that's another step post-education that people would do. And I would like to say that even if people don't get educated formally, people are still welcome into our ecosystem. If they can play music or they can create art forms or they can actually do acting or do performances, we need to empower them with the right kind of opportunities, and that Kerala can offer very easily. And I think Kerala is a right example to take that route, and we should make sure that we are not following the path of learn software to be creative. If you're not creative, you will not be able to use the software effectively. So you need to follow the reverse process. So we should concentrate on our, our cultural ethos to our art forms and revive them into the contemporary format. I think that's the thing that Kerala can do extremely well. And I think that's what we should concentrate on in Kerala.
Okay, thank you, Ashishji. We will have 2 rounds of questions, so we'll make it quick. Anupji, so coming to you, Kerala startup ecosystem is thriving, rated as best in India. But many creative entrepreneurs still face barriers in scaling their ideas, especially in the creative. How is KSM supporting creative startups to move from passion-driven prototypes to established businesses?
How are we supporting? We are not giving that much of a support right now, but we are planning to.
Maybe you can consider the policy in place.
Yeah, we'll detail on the policy. See, one of the problems that I've seen is that startups are often equated to technology, mobile apps, etc., and the orange economy or the creative economy, as they call it, is not yet considered as a large economic or creation of larger economic impact in the society. But world over, it's a huge market. I don't remember the billions of dollars that is going to get created out of the orange economy, but it is a lot of money that is going to get created out of this. So oftentimes what happens is a person who wants to create a short film or an animation or a game comes to us and says that I would like to have a grant, and which is what our first step of support is. We give grants up to 15 lakhs for development of a product. But the expert panel who's looking at that grant or application says that, oh, this is only a movie or a short film. So technically, we are not allowed to give that money. But AVGC policy changes all that. So suddenly we have this opportunity that if you have a new idea, I don't know how many of you have read Aidhihyamala or seen Aidhihyamala? Okay. Yeah, very few people. I think it's like, I don't know how many, 1,000 stories put together, written by Kottarathil Shankunni. It pretty much covers the entire span of history across Kerala. You will find, occult, magic, temples, churches, everything mentioned in that folklore. Huge opportunity to convert some of them and create local heroes in the form of animation. With VO3 coming into play, you will see a lot of kids now starting with Lutapi and Kuttusan and all that old Balarama classics being converted into videos. So I think it's about the right time. You have the AI tools which will make you create a prototype without even having to use a studio. So you can, use your creativity. When we see that prototype, I think we can give them a grant up to 15 lakhs for creating your own content. For taking it to an international exhibition, I think you can get up to 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs or something like that. And on top of that, so basically 3 things that you need. One is money. Second is infrastructure. So not everybody will have the right infrastructure. So you're planning to create hub and spokes. There will be 2 hubs that will be created around Technopark and Infopark. and spokes at multiple places. One of the spokes that we are planning to work on is in the Kottayam district, along with ASAP Community Skill Park and the K.R. Narayanan Film Institute. There is also a plan to set up a mini incubator in Kerala Kalamandalam. So basically, Sam Santosh, who is a seasoned entrepreneur, has set up a Hortus Malabaricus garden in Shornur, very close to Kalamandalam. So he now wants to take the lead and create this mini incubator in Kerala Kalamandalam. So this is going to be another activity that we will be doing. We have also submitted a proposal to the central government for setting up a creative incubator, which hopefully will fetch us around 10 crores. So we will be able to do some of these activities as part of that mini incubator. But for now, if you have an idea, which is a short film, a movie, a gaming, an animation, then you come to us. We will put you through the AVGC XR policy related grants, and you could get up to 15 lakhs of grant. That is what we have at this point of time.
Thank you.
I think one of the things that the policy is doing right now is also setting up a hub and spoke model in 11 destinations across Kerala, whereby it can help the creators' economy to actually need not be from AVGC XR alone, but somebody wants to create content. They should be empowered to create content and create their channels and make sure that they are contributing to the whole ecosystem. And that's a part of our policy. And I think the first 4 out of the 11 are getting implemented into the rural spaces so that people can actually also get from there and make sure that their content is taken to the global audience.
Okay. Next, to my question is to Aubrey Aloysius, founder of LorraineMusic.ai. So music is something we don't deal on a regular basis, but I love music, and recently we had a lot of big brands coming out of Kerala, global musicians from Kerala. So Kerala has a rich traditional music and performing arts. How can platforms like yours help aspiring musicians and artists monetize their passion, and what role do digital tools play in scaling creative careers globally?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me here to present my thoughts. And thank you for the wonderful questions, Philip. I am Aubrey Aloysius, the co-founder of LorraineMusic.ai. It was actually started with as a name called Lorraine Music Academy. The name Lorraine is very unique. It's a brand that we've discovered through a dipstick in the market. We had actually started with another name, but this name stuck, and so we decided to call the company this name. That's unique. Now, that's what I want to share about to the people here who are young entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs, Startup India, the skill sets that they need and what they need. Now, music, well, Kerala is known for music. Let me just ask you a question. How many of you love music? Can you raise your hands up? Really participate in this Q&A. It starts right at the beginning. Okay, 100% love music. How many of you tried learning music, an instrument, and gave up? Yeah. 99% is the statistics I've got. You didn't give up. There you are. He's the 1%. You see? 2. There you are. See? 98% to 99% give up. Now, let me tell you what we have done. 21 years of research at LorraineMusic.ai. We have a system where we've reversed this trend. Whoever comes through our system, 96% of them complete the course. And therefore, may I suggest the following? Philip, sorry, can we? May I suggest the following, that the vision that we have for India is 100% music literate nation, starting with Kerala. Since Kerala was the first one that was 100% literate, can we make Kerala for the first state as a 100% literate, music literate state in India? And really, no, please feel free to clap and I'll stop talking. Because that is my heart. I want to see this nation develop extraordinarily with its potential and talent and diversity and versatility, starting with Kerala. By the way, I am the son of the soil. My grandfather's home was just across the waterway that is here. I'm thrilled and delighted to be here. I look down there and say, Broadway, my nat, my great-grandfather's ancestral home. My father was brought up there as a child. My grandfather was brought up there as a child. I went and lived there as a child. What I'm saying is, we talked about Kerala diaspora contributing, and we're going to get there. Coming back to music, How can we transform music education into entrepreneurial skills? We're talking about passion turning into profession. Now, when we talk about profession, we normally think of a Malayalam word called joli, right? Everyone identifies that? Job, paid job, full-time job, not even part-time. No, I want to change that perspective. I want to call that job generation as I'm going to convert it into an income generation opportunity. And we need to nurture youngsters to start looking dynamically, thinking dynamically. Look at not wanting a job for themselves, but wanting to be an entrepreneur that creates jobs. And that's how we kickstart an economy. That's how we kickstart a state. That's how we kickstart a creative economy. And by the way, talking about what to do with children and youth, the first thing is to tackle the problem of the mindset with parents. Parents, when they hear the child going and saying, I want to start learning music, I want to start learning something creative, they say, creative? How much money? What jolly will you get? How much salary will you get? What is your future career? Now let me tell you, let me flip that question around and say, do you know what the status of the creative economy is? The creative economy today is US dollars 2.3 trillion. $2.3 trillion US dollars is the creative economy as of today as we speak. India's economy is around 4 trillion US dollars, which means the global trade or the global creative economy is more than half of India's economy. And as Ashish ji has pointed out earlier, we're going to veer towards this becoming a 10% of the global GDP. And let me tell you the future of Kerala, the youth. There is talent. Immense talent, no doubts, no arguments there. How do we convert this talent into entrepreneurship? We talk about profession. Well, if you have passion, it remains a hobby. But if you want to transcend it to profession, you need discipline. You need determination, you need discipline, you need skills, and then you need to learn to monetize it. And that's where the mindset of an entrepreneur comes in. You must learn other skills. How do you get into digital economy? How do you understand the social media? How do you understand branding? How do you become a self-brand? Okay? How do you understand technology? In today's world, you've got to deal with technology. You've got to adopt it, embrace it. And then you have to understand how to deal with finance. How will you price your product? You overprice it, you're gone out of the market. You underprice it, you're making losses. You've got to learn pricing, then you've got to learn contracts, you've got to learn negotiation. You know, an entrepreneur tomorrow, a young Keralite, is going to bear multiple hats, and that's the skill sets we're talking about. It's not just skilling in music, or not just skilling in technology. It's skilling in a multiple, items that, I tell you, this is the responsibility that we have towards nurturing the next generation. Coming back to where the money is coming from, where will the money come from? I believe I can see Kerala being a hub of talent, which it exists, converting that into job givers through this entrepreneurship process, and really making the skilled and talented people of Kerala contributing to the global economy, because today there's a borderless economy. The creative economy, by the way, is growing at a faster rate than manufacturing, believe it or not, it's true. And so we've got a global economy which will actually Kerala will contribute to the global economy. So you don't need to, it's like work in Kerala, work for the world. Can you imagine a girl or a boy learning music, teaching a child in Canada how to learn music online, sitting in Kerala, and then going and engaging with an advertising agency in Dubai to create an ad for them, all while sitting here and earning money? That's the export market. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Aloysius ji. Next is to Chaitanya. Chaitanya being the key person in establishing one of the finest media school in India, Whistling Woods, and now he's been very instrumental in establishing Indian Institute of Creative Technology, which is an IIT equivalent for the creative sector. So my question is, in the context of film and media education, how can Kerala blend its legacy in storytelling and performing arts with cutting-edge curricula to prepare students for future creative opportunities?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the question. Just adding to what Ashish briefly mentioned, see, if you look at all our upbringing, the fact that I would grow up without learning an instrument or without learning a kala was unthinkable. It's part of everybody's growing up life. It's just normal. What happens is when you get to school, you were told that physics, chemistry, biology, maths, languages are real subjects. And all this stuff which you love to do, all the art forms, that's all extracurricular. The moment you use the word extracurricular, that industry loses credibility, in some cases even dignity in the minds of parents and students. Not only does it restrict the higher education pathways for students, but it also prevents them from being well-rounded, creative adults. Because as important to your life as physics, chemistry, maths is, as important is creative and performing arts. The structure on how to do that and how to make sure that our 18-year-old 12th standard graduate, 12th standard pass out, is that well-rounded student who looks at higher education in engineering, and they have already studied the foundation of that, which is physics, chemistry, maths. Higher education in medicine, they have studied the foundation of that, which is chemistry and biology, and media and entertainment. Now the problem is the foundational education of media and entertainment, which is creative thinking, which is broken up into strategic thinking, lateral thinking, narrative thinking, design thinking, is not taught in school as part of a subject. If it is, it's extracurricular, which makes no sense. So the first thing you need to do is you need to put that on par with everything else. The moment you put that on par with everything else, then everything then starts to percolate down. So Ashish gave the example of Kerala mural. Today, if you look at anime also, I mean, why is anime so popular in India? Because it's deeply culturally rooted, and we can understand that it's culturally rooted even if it's a different culture. There is no reason why that can't happen for our local art forms. Whether it is Kerala mural, Madhubani, Gond, Varli, Pattachitra, there are so many of them, which all of them have that potential, but kids don't know about it. If you're not taught that in school, you're going to consume what is there on the, on your phone. So coming back to that, how do you kind of build out a well-rounded populace? This is how you do it. You need to restructure your high school education to make sure that 20 to 25% of your education, and when I mean education, I mean in the timetable, periods with assessments, with grades, with evaluation, as serious as physics, is foundational education in creative and performing arts. Now once that happens, now you've got a student that's ready to take on all verticals. On top of that, then you need to have good quality education at the higher end technical level, where you need to make sure that students understand art craft, they understand technology, and they understand business. The silos of, this one is creative and this one is technical and this one is business, they're gone. I'm not sure they ever existed, but if they did, they're definitely gone today. Every artist is a technician, every technician is an artist, and they both understand the business. That's the only way you're going to be able to get a student to make sure that they think techno-creative. They don't think creative. See, human beings are natural born storytellers. It's wired into our DNA. All we need to do is figure out the technology of the time. Now, the person who used to live in the cave, the technology of the time was charcoal. Or the technology of the time was this red sap that is coming out of this tree. So they figure out that if I take this black and I take this red and I paint stuff on the walls, I can tell stories which will remain forever, right? This natural hardwired storytelling DNA in us, we have to make sure that you fan the flame and you continue fanning the flame right from the beginning of your schooling all the way till as long as you want to study, and you never stop studying, right? You're always a student. So once you've got a well-rounded high school curriculum, a well-rounded higher and technical education in media and entertainment across all the buckets, so narrative arts, communication and management, creative arts, performing arts, within that all the 14, 16, 18 electives, now you've got a well-formed group of students who's now able to build out an industry that is not just local, but it's local going global. And there are enough examples in the world. Japan, Korea, I mean, long list of small countries that have been able to build out their creative economies and go global. And that's a great possibility for Kerala to do, starting from high school.
Yeah, I think we have to thank Kites. Kites have recently formalized the curriculum for creative skills in schools. I think last week I saw the post. So Kerala has taken the first step towards what you have suggested. It was also part of policy to introduce creative subjects in the school education. So, so we have finished the first round. So second will be on opportunities to monetize tech and ecosystem support, because we are discussing about strengths of Kerala, culture, how to take on the skill education. But next will be, as you said, Joli, or the revenue is also very important. Most of the parents or people are hesitant to take this route because of the monetization reason or the revenue. Revenue is one concern. So the first will be to Ashish again. Monetization remains a challenge for creative talent. See, Ashish, you should be, even though I am asking question, I know the answers, some of the answers, but you should also talk about the government of India initiative, the various bazaars, the ecosystem available for the sake of the audience who are listening, because many of the content creators doesn't know such things exist. So monetization remains a challenge for creative talent. What sustainable business models have proven effective for animation, design, and gaming entrepreneurs? And how can Kerala enable wider adoption? This is my question.
I think Kerala is extremely well known for its film industry, and they've done it really well. One has to understand that when you make a creative career, you need to be ready for becoming an entrepreneur, because the largest number of skills which are there in filmmaking and in storytelling are freelancers. People actually deliver project to project basis, they are not employed. When it came to animation, gaming, visual effects, that's where the studios and people went on payroll. Otherwise, if you look at the film industry, they come together as a unit with their skills and they work on the film and then they're on their own again. So that's where you need these hubs. And that's why we tried to impress Anubji and a lot of people, because they knew the IT industry the best. But then how do you really decentralize this, and how do you really make that enabling for them to create? So we have at a national level have put together a Waves Bazaar, which is out of the Waves event that happened. Now Waves Bazaar is traveling to 25 countries at this point in time as we speak. So next week people are in Toronto International Film Festival, which is the 50th year of Toronto International Film Festival. And the film Sholay is going to be shown there because that's also completed 50 years. The issue is that what we have done through that is we have enabled individuals to really see that their ideas actually go into becoming a complete product, whether it's a game or a comic book or a feature film or a web series. And that's where the opportunities have been created in every state to avail, that little bit of funding, and also avail, once your product is ready for pitching, you actually can go to the Waves Bazaar, or you can go to international markets and present your ideas to be converted. At the same time, we have created a whole series of Comic-Cons in India, whereby we bring comic book artists and game publishers and the book publishers together. And these are very popular. We would like to bring one to Cochin very soon, probably in early 2026, which is normally attended by more than 50,000-60,000 people over 2 days or 3 days. And we would like to we have listed about 70 odd comic book artists in Kerala, and we would like to house all of them in Comic-Con and display their work to the publishers. Now, these publishers can pick it up and make a game or make a comic book available with the complete royalty coming back to the artist. And I think that monetization options are now open, but we will have to actually do some round of training programs to all these individual artists to how to make a presentation, how to present their idea, how to make sure that that idea is means fine-tuned enough to be picked up for the next big league. At the same time, many of them who are creating great comic books and great storyboards can now start presenting and making sure that they are presenting it to big filmmakers. Now, filmmakers are investing into the pre-visualization and the pre-production using the animation core artists to, create characters, to create environments. And as the virtual production takes off in the live action, most of the visual effects artists and the other artists who are creating assets have a great opportunity to work, because you need to create digital assets before it is actually shot on the screens. So there are different opportunities for people to really see that their skills are made available to the right formats where they can start making money. At the same time, they can be converted for monetization into the right product and then bring them to light through publishers and also to commissioners who can actually create that into the whole program. At the same time, with the policy moving forward, we will have an event created in Kerala, which will actually bring most of the producers to Kerala to see what kind of talent it is. And there is one such event that is happening in Mumbai right now on 7th and 8th of October, which is called Fiki Frames. This is the 25th year of Fiki Frames. We do something called as Frame Your Idea. So if you have an idea that needs to be pitched to Amir Khan or to Ashutosh Gowarikar or to Dharma Films, they will all be given different rooms and you can go and pitch your idea. And that thing is already open. If you Google search for Frame Your Idea, Fiki Frames to 2025, you will get a form. You can actually fill up the form and be there so that you can be mapped and you can actually pitch your idea to the right people to take it forward. We hope that we should be able to do Frame Your Idea in the regional space as well, and we are waiting for one of the first events that happens, like the Animation Masters Summit or any of these events that we are creating in Kerala, which can give opportunity for people to pitch it locally as well. And I think this ecosystem was very important to create, and we required the policy to create that. And with the educational institutions that are now coming up in this space to make sure that this creative talent is programs are available apart from science and commerce, which used to dominate. I think all this ecosystem is here for us to develop to take it to the monetization levels. But that education has to happen along with the creative education simultaneously.
Thank you. I think you should also mention some of our globally recognized artists from Kerala, like the recent NSC award for Suresh and all. NSC.
Suresh, area.
The recent.
Oh yeah, so we have national award winning artists like Rasool. In our industry, we have E. Suresh, and we have many such artists. We have,
I think last 2 years consecutively, Kerala has got the national
absolutely
award.
2 national awards back to back. We also have a recent award which went to a studio from Kannur, which is started by a guy called Prakash. He came back from Pixar, from USA, and has set up a studio which won the Bangalore International Short Film Festival award just about 2 weeks ago. And the quality of work that they have done is just marvelous. At the same time, we have another small studio of 2 people based out of Trivandrum, which is called Pava Studios. And they have created a comic book called Battle of the Winds. And we are taking Battle of the Winds to Middle East because it's a Middle Eastern idea. And we are now converting that into a web series and a feature film in the animation style that they have created. So that's the next big thing that we are doing slowly. But we have been able to identify such artists from Kerala where we can actually get them to a bigger commissioning. So after we took the Battle of the Winds, now they are creating 60 books for kids with different stylization, and each style is an animatable style right now, and which can all become the animation styles from Kerala. So these 60 books are coming up for publishing in the month of November, and that's going to be a very big thing because we are wanting to launch it in one of the Comic-Cons with the complete publisher ecosystem with books that can be a collector's item for kids all over the world. So they are very uniquely done. So I think if you look at these artists from Kerala, some of them are not staying in Kerala, but they are staying in Mumbai and Bangalore and few other places. But they have a right connect, and we would like to ensure that we create this ecosystem here so that they can actually do there. But I must tell you that there is a studio in Pune called Film CGI who decided during COVID they had a lot of artists from Kerala, and they came all the way and started a studio in Thrissur. And today that studio is delivering all the international projects as well as the national projects. So they worked on Jubilee, they worked on Rangila, they've worked on a lot of other big movies which are now on Netflix, Amazon and big screen as well. And that delivery system of visual effects has started from Kerala. So I think it's the enabling of an environment, and these artists would start delivering again from here.
And I would like to mention one name, very famous in the area of music, and that's our own Yesudas. Don't forget, he made a name for himself in a world which was non-digital like today. Can you imagine if he was born as a youngster today, where he would have reached? That's the potential for youngsters to emulate.
Yeah, thank you. And adding to the topic passion to profession, when I was there in the IICT meeting August 1st, there was a gentleman who came all the way from Nagpur, and he had a fracture, and he was, with the support, he was walking. So during the lunchtime, myself and Mr. Suresh was talking, then all of a sudden he asked, "You are from Kerala?" I said, "Yes." "Where in Kochi?" he was asking. So I asked, "Are you familiar, so familiar to Kerala?" He said, "Yes. I was a scientist in ISRO, Trivandrum campus, and 3.5 years back, I resigned to pursue my comic dreams." And he is the president for Comics Association. So that's a kind of scientist resigning and setting up a comic company.
We have a new association coming up called Bharatiya Association of Sequential Arts, called Bhasha, where we have 300 comic book artists coming together.
Yeah.
And we are going to define the next stylizations of India, which are going to be into animation and into storytelling and the graphic novels and animation and comic books. So that's what we are doing. We are trying to create clusters of comic books so that becomes a starting point for many people to convert their idea into IP and register their IP through comic books or graphic novels. So that's one big mission that we are on right now.
Yeah, next
And
question.
if I could just take one more, just an offshoot from what you mentioned, where you met this ISRO scientist who loved comics. You know, that's what the beauty of art is. You learn music today, you apply music in AVGC, you apply music in films, you need music in every art form, right? But then the beauty of it is, that, do you know that the famous scientists of the world historically have been musicians? Do you know that Albert Einstein, the physicist, was a musician? And that is the beauty. You don't have to learn music to be a musician alone. Of course you'll be a musician, but you can be a scientist. You can be an accountant. You can be a filmmaker. You can be anything you want. Over to the next panelist.
Thanks.
I will add one more rhyme. So you don't need to, what we are talking about is we want an engineer to be a creative engineer. We want a politician to be a creative politician. We want an officer to be a creative officer, a creative doctor. So we want to impart creativity in all of them because their life would be different, their approach would be different. There will be design thinking has to come to the school, and they need to start thinking about their solutions differently. At the same time, like sports makes you a very different person because sportsman spirit comes from there. You know how much to prepare, what to prepare. You don't mind losing a game and moving forward in life. So you are habitual to failures as well. And that's what the sports teaches you. It also makes sure that your physical fitness is great. At the same time, music gives you a lot of cognitive development. If you're starting it early, you become a very different person, or you grow up to be a very matured person if you're listening to music constantly. And I think it's a very important thing that we are trying to say, which we missed out in our educational policy when we started after independence. Now that it's there, we need to make the most use of it, is what we are trying to say.
Not just listening to music, learning music.
Enabling creativity. That's what. So Anupji, from the taking clue from what Ashishji was mentioning, see our creative professionals, unlike IT professionals, they don't know how to get into the market. They don't know how to take care of their IPs. See, so taking clue from what Ashishji said, they need some sort of I will say some sort of clinics or something, workshops for them to support. So what are the key policy and support mechanism in Kerala to prioritize nurturing creative entrepreneurship and facilitate easier access to financing, mentorship, and global partnerships? You can even mention the cases of some of our creative startups who got funding, all those things.
Most of the startups who have got funding actually are in the animation space or the gaming space, right? I mean, we have Bhushan who have got the funding, and then there is this new guy who's developing an Android console for gamings. I forgot his name, Jofin, I think. Yeah, he also got funding. So there are quite a few number of companies, and this funding is not small. You know, it could be like $1 million, $2 million in funding is what these guys are getting. But I think one of the biggest problems that I've seen with the performing artists is this. So when you travel across Kerala, you see multiple things. Veracity of performing arts. We did a program called Beyond Tomorrow in Kozhikode. And I don't know how many of you have heard about Tolpavakuta. Okay, so people with interest in art is attending the session, I'm glad. So there was, I forgot the name of the person, he's a Padma Shri. He's one of the pioneers in the Tolpavakut. And he was actually telling about the struggles that he went through before he could actually make it financially sustainable. So it's not very easy. First of all, one of the problems that I've seen is that artists are extremely egoistic. You know, they don't want to tell people, they don't want to sell the art. The very concept of saying that, sometimes I go and talk business to people. I say that you need to sell this and make money. And I'm considered evil, right? You know, how can you sell art? That is, and true too, because it's coming out of your passion, out of your heart, right? It's not your brainchild. It's really coming from your heart. But I think we need to figure out a way by which subtly, sensitively encourage or empower this local artists to, package the art. See, Kalamandalam, if you look at it, who has got the patience to listen and sit and watch Kathakali for 2 hours or 2.5 hours? Right? I have personally tried this out in Technopark. People, we even gave a description about the story. It was Kalyana Saugandigam. And people could not sit through the entire performance, which is a disrespect towards the artists and disrespect towards the art form. So we need to change with the times. How do we improvise ourselves in such a way that it becomes consumable for the common man? Because after all, art is for entertainment of the common man. That is why movies are so popular or music is so popular, right? People understand it. People just sense it. So similarly, your performing art needs to be improvised so that it can be consumed by the common man. And I think one of the areas that we are planning on doing some work is helping these artists without hurting their ego into translating some of their artwork into a thing or an experience that people can consume. I think there is a lot of work we will do in that front, and that is where all this incubators and Kalamandalam incubator and everything will come into place. The next is the global economy, which is ready to consume this, right? So there are, for time immemorial, when I was a kid, a small kid, I used to see, you know, people from UK and Denmark and Scandinavia come to Kerala and learn Kathakali or Ottandullal or Kudiyattam, right? So there's a handful of people who had that extreme passion which made them come stay here and learn in the 70s or 80s. But I'm pretty certain that there are quite a lot of creative artists who are interested in the color palettes, in the mixings, in the stories, in the folklores, and we need to make that connection. The connection between, let's say, Kerala Kalamandalam and the United States of America, right? How do we do that? And we need to create that international exposure programs, which is where your Waves Bazaar, which will go to 50 countries and say that these are things that you can come and experience, right? So that sort of a marketing also needs to happen. Both of these things, I believe that the impediment is the ego that the artist has. And we need to slowly convert that or I don't know, manage that ego and make them believe that you need to have a financial self-sustainable system so that this art exists. Otherwise, most of it will perish, right? So we need to conserve these arts. We need to actually make it financially self-sustainable. And conversion of this into a consumable product, taking that product to an international market are the two things that we plan to concentrate on.
Thank you. Organizers have said that we should speed up, even though we started a bit late. Aloysius ji, question for you. What success stories or innovative monetization approaches have you witnessed in music? It could be freelance, full-time, entrepreneurial, or performing arts that Kerala creatives can emulate.
Yes.
The models.
Yes. So I think the first name that comes up is the famous Yesudas as a singer in music, you know, specifically in music. It can be across any creative sphere.
But I was told Hanuman kind recently.
Sorry, come again?
Hanuman kind. You heard of Hanuman kind?
Yeah. Yeah. So coming to monetization, see, it's a problem with all artists, you know, and especially musicians. So one of the first things, I want to make some announcements here. So if you can pay attention and grab it, I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to make 3 announcements. And this is my offer to, as an organization, as an individual, as a Kerala diaspora, to the state of Kerala and to the people of Kerala, okay? Monetization is very important. And while we talked about, and Anoopji was talking about struggle with existing artists, I think the challenge that we can overcome is nurturing the next generation. So the first thing I want to do is at the foundation level, we're working with KITES, we're working with the Kerala government, is to make sure that from 2026, 100% of the school children will learn music. We're not saying listening to music, but actually becoming music literate. That's reading and writing music. So that's the first thing I want to share. That's a foundation level. But in terms of the employment opportunity, monetization opportunity, the first thing is we want to offer, the LorraineMusic.ai wants to offer 10,000 internships to the youth, undergraduate and graduate students of Kerala. And an opportunity, a result-oriented opportunity, a result-oriented internship, which includes training and ability to earn money. For over a period of time, I will work with the government. I've shared with the elders of the state. And that's the first thing that we will roll out immediately. The second thing we're going to roll out is, actual, not Jolie, but, you know, income generation opportunities for the youth. So one is the college students, the other is graduates who are looking for earnings through jobs or through any other opportunity. Well, here is what we have to offer. Another 10,000 music education advisors is what we want to create every year. By the way, this is every year, starting with this year. 10,000 music education advisors who will be trained in the art of music, will be trained in salesmanship, will be trained in entrepreneurship. This goes back to the internship also that we talked about. Will be trained in the use of technology platform that LorraineMusic.ai has, okay? That's the second announcement I want to make. And the third one is, I want to take the very artists that we're talking about and give them a platform. We've got a tech platform. After 21 years of research and pedagogical disruption, by the way, we've got students from across 23 countries, all from one corner of India, across 5 continents. And we've got a proof of market that is exportable. We want to take 1,000 Kerala artists, musicians, and give them an opportunity to showcase their art to the rest of the world. Monetization models are immense. We need artists, musicians to think like an entrepreneur. You know, the conversion from passion to profession will happen when one trains or is trained to think like an entrepreneur and create unique models. So by the way, I'm a classic example. I'm an ex-international banker. I did my entrepreneurship and then went on Yeah, I talk about finance because I can think in numbers. I can talk about 10,000 numbers very clearly. I just need the support of the government and we can do it. And this is every year, generating these jobs every year. The chief advisor talked about creating 30 lakh opportunities. Yes, we can do it. Let's start with 10,000 first. We'll talk about the next 1 lakh. And the last bit, the last bit is very important. If we can get the first 1,000 musicians on the platform, I can tell you we can scale this up. Opportunities are immense. Models can be created. We are innovative Indians. We can create new models for the world. Now with the tariff issues, I'll tell you one thing. While tourism is one opportunity, but we're not talking about tourism today. We're talking about the creative economy. I'm telling you, the digital creative economy, there is no limit. There is no tariff boundaries. If your server is in India and your art is in India, your stake in India, no one can tax you. Just go out there and deliver. Let's try and train the next generation how to do this, and let's try and way to reach out to the musicians and the artists how to get this done. I believe Kerala can be the starting point by implementing work in Kerala, work for the world.
Chaitanya, next question is something very interesting for you. It's on technology, creative tech. Since you were instrumental in both Whistling Woods and as an interim CEO of IICT, and after visiting IICT, you also understand your passion on tech side of creativity. International collaborations and industry tie-ups are vital for creative education. How can Kerala build partnerships to boost global exposure and skill mobility for local talent? Many feel like Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA are limited to IT, so you have to give that aspect also.
So, thanks. If you look at cross-section of careers which get deployed in the media and entertainment industry, almost a third of the media and entertainment industry has their origin in tech education today. They're not necessarily the people who you see on screen or you read about in the newspaper. They're the ones that make sure that 4K content gets delivered to your phone in the best way possible, right? That's how we're able to do 40 million parallel streams of the IPL or 63 million parallel streams at peak of the World Cup that happened last year. But that's not it, right? Because that is just pure tech service delivery. The conversation to be had is, how do I take emerging tech in order to make my storytelling better? Because at the end of it, everything is storytelling. And that is the overlap. That is the interesting confluence that everybody needs to learn. Talking about how you can kind of move across careers. So, like he said, he's a banker. By education, I'm a chartered accountant, unfortunately. But today, I am the vice president and business head of India's premier film school, Film and Creative Arts Institute. I'm also the chief technology officer, and I head the emerging media department. The emerging media lab that Whistling Woods runs, we're building new tech workflows where a couple of our products are in pre-patent right now. If one of them goes through, it will be India's first media and entertainment tech patent. And that's the other opportunity that you don't want to miss out. Why can't the next codec come from India? Why can't the next compression decompression protocol come from India? Why don't we look at creating tech IPs in addition to creating content IPs? And yes, content IPs are great. Tech IPs are also great. And who else will do software but us, given that 60-70% of the world's software is anyway being done out of India. So given this ecosystem, that is where you have to dwell on. So all the talent exists. Your creative talent exists, your management talent exists, your technical talent exists. You have to bring it together in order to be able to build out that techno-creative economy. Right? And that is what we've been doing at Whistling Woods now for about 15 years. Driving the industry into development, into growth, with technology as the sharp end of the stick. While obviously focus on creative. Creative is never going away. To add to the monetization bit, so in the last 18 years, we've graduated about 4,000 alumni. 95% of them are doing exceptionally well in the media and entertainment industry. There are more unemployed and unemployable engineers today than unemployed and unemployable filmmakers. So for that worry to exist is basically perception, and it's our industry not doing a good enough job to push back against the perception that this is an industry which is not stable. Or this is an industry where, you can get jobs only if you know somebody. 99% of our graduates had no background in the industry. They came from all over. The farmer's kid from Bilaspur to, one of your, in Kerala, there's so many alumni of ours who are from Kerala, come to study at Whistling Woods, come back here making content. One of your actors, Govind Padma Surya, he's a Whistling Woods alumni. He did his MBA in Media and Entertainment because he wanted to educate himself on the business side of things. Knowing that, yes, while he wants to act and he will continue to act, he does not want to ignore how can he build out his brand and how can he build out a business empire in addition to his art form, which is acting. So you have to look at all these verticals and you have to look at skill sets. Oftentimes what happens is skill set and vertical and industry gets conflated. Somebody will say, oh, I write well. Okay, be a screenwriter. No, that's not the only way, right? If you're a good writer, if you're writing in the service of a brand, you're a copywriter. If you're writing in the service of an idea to be read by people, you're a novelist. If you're writing in service of an idea to be portrayed on the audiovisual platform, you're a screenwriter. Same thing with drawing, same thing with everything, with music. So this kind of confluence of stuff coming together in order to create that well-rounded techno-creative person, that's the core. And that's really what Kerala should focus on if you want to be the sharp end of the stick in that industry.
Thank you. We have hardly 5 minutes to go. So No. They have questions? So we'll go for the questions then.
My friend from Gurgaon was talking about the pedagogical disruption. Cross-border level, if we forecast, segmenting, demarcating, disseminating. How this pedagogical discussion you can address if you go across, because music has a barricade, it has got its own, it's defined itself in a linguistic barrier. It's not audible? Repeat. You're moving around. Okay. He was talking about pedagogical disruption. It's clear now? Voice is clear? Yeah. So, when you go on a cross-border level, when music has no discrimination, but it has a differentiation of linguistic barrier, so how will you address that part of segmentation, dissemination, and demarcation of pedagogical disruption?
So to answer your question, thank you, Umar. Yeah. So to answer your question, it's been a 21-year history and a story of research done globally. So whatever I'm sharing with you is globally benchmarked. We've had students from north, south, east, west. We've had students from across the globe coming and studying with us. We've had students from 23 countries from across 5 continents. We have actually vetted whatever we are sharing, we've actually vetted it across the globe. Now, pedagogical disruption is easy with music because you must understand music, although we have various languages, like English, Hindi, Marathi, and 22 regional languages in India, and there are so many languages across the world. Music by itself is a language. So when you teach music as a language, you will understand that this pedagogical disruption is across the globe. One short 21-year history, we've got a made in India product for the globe. And so that is how we will be a dynamic made in India enterprise, a multinational enterprise, I believe, in the short term, very soon, listed in the stock market, $1 billion revenue company, proud to be an Indian. But that's because of 21 years of R&D. Look, it takes a lot of pain to do it. And it takes a pain to understand in order to answer that question. That question is brilliant. But you see, the simplicity of the thing in music is do, re, mi, the way that Pete, right, has learned it, is the same way as sa, re, ga, which many in the room have learned it probably. It's one language. How do you treat it? How do you disseminate it? How do you educate it? How do you make people literate? Unfortunately, there are some limitations with the Indian language. The Indian music, whether it is Hindustani or Carnatic, is not very good in terms of, every language needs a script, right? It lacks certain foundations like the script. Whereas the Western notations are very clear. And therefore, In music education, the way we've disrupted it for India and for the globe is by adopting the global best practices of learning a language and implementing it into India. And that's what our students learn the Western notation, and then they end up learning Bollywood songs, Hindustani songs, Carnatic songs, and that's the brilliance of what we have. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Hello, sir. My name is Anandakrishnan. I'm an entrepreneur working on monetization of independent performing artists. And I'm right now basic funded by Kerala Startup Mission and Startup India, and going pretty good. Sir, my question is, in the context of a few colleges from Kerala, we have Kerala Kalamandalam here, we have RLV here, we have Swati Tirunal Music College here. And sir, you spoke about Whistling Woods, you have acting, cinematography, editing, business kind of courses, but in context of these contemporary art forms, old art forms, we are having a good number of people getting out from these institutes every year. Is our infrastructure in line with the number of candidates that are getting out from these colleges, sir? Because I have spoke with few schools here in South Kerala, few CBSE schools, few colleges, and few state schools, but they don't have anything or any vacancy related with these people getting out from these academies. So everybody cannot be a creative entrepreneur. So will the new policy be anything having a support for this kind of like a vacancy or any help for these people who are getting out from these colleges, basically in Kathakali, Ottandullal and all? So that is my question. It is like comparing the new age kind of creative arts and the old age, because in Kerala, the context is very great that we have a good number of people getting out from these colleges every year.
So the policy bit, I'll leave to them because I'm not so sure about the policy. Let me tell you the specific thing. So in fact, while you were asking, he explained to me what it is that you were doing with IIT. And just before the break, I was showcasing to a couple of people what we've built out as a creative tech at the Whistling Woods Emerging Media Lab. So we've essentially built out a markerless, visual AI-based markerless mocap pipeline, which needs 5 seconds of setup time, and with a single 4K camera or a single phone, you can generate almost real-time entire mocap wireless. I don't need to wear, no wearables needed. Something like this being deployed in a lot of the non-structure-based or not Western structured-based art forms is super critical in order to document it and try and spread the how to do that well, right? So earlier he was speaking about Western music and Indian music. There is a difference. There's harmony and there's melody. One is harmony based, one is melody based. So there is a structural difference in a lot of our art forms. So the idea is to try and wrap the technology of the time in order to augment the creative spark in the traditional art form. Not replace, not kind of use one instead of the other, but wrap it in a way that you are able to take it global. Now, if, for example, we are able to do this, if you are able to generate these, this data, right, markerless mocap, now you've got a whole repository which you can start to deploy into schools. You can start to deploy into other people who want to learn this at home, and suddenly a dying art forms becomes part of everybody's livelihood, everybody's house. Now it's no longer endangered. Now it's just part of everybody's life. And this has happened. In many cases, we have seen it happen without noticing it. Music. After 2018, why has there been this explosion in indie music across all platforms? It's not a demand problem. Demand was always there. The problem was always supply side. Right? We didn't have enough indie creators. So the people who wanted to listen to indie music didn't have anyone to listen to. And the reason that happened is because there was no music pipeline that was coming in order to replace the traditional artists which were being gobbled up by the audiovisual, film and OTT industry. In the 90s, when I grew up, I remember a plethora of non-film, non-religious, non-classical music. Then, for almost 10 years, it had disappeared because the film industry grew and they gobbled up all those people without the pipeline coming in. The moment the pipeline started coming in, your indie music started to go up because the demand was always there. Today, if you look at the top 10 playlists of Spotify India, 60% of them are indie. Hot Hits Bhojpuri is in the top 100 Spotify playlists of the world. So, a lot of this local rooted content, if you're able to just give it the right amount of wrapper of tech, it can go to a whole other level. Now, how to do this is the policy mechanism, right? How do you make sure that it's the right student who's being identified or the right artist who's been identified? They're getting the right education at the right age and in progression and in the right pedagogy so that you're able to build out a business model for yourself, either as an employer, either as an employment or as a professional, right? So, policy.
So the way the policy works is why we are doing the policy in every state is to take the local art forms into contemporary formats. And these contemporary formats are something that will come through animation, gaming, visual effects, comics, and extended reality. And that's why we call it a AVGC XR industry. So the thing is, no sooner you have, like there is Patachitra, which we are now taking into an animation. We are taking Varli into animation. We are taking Kerala mural art into animation. We are also taking one of the toys into a puppet animation format. So if you have any of these art forms, you should actually visit one of the facilitation centers, talk to the artist and see how we can get the local art forms into contemporary format so that it becomes popular again. And they are able to watch this content in the present day formats that kids are watching all over the world or people are watching all over the world, so that they can start developing this interest. I'll give you an example in Rajasthan. They came up with a 25 lakh grant and a free space in the incubator for artists for comic books. And in 34-page comic book can be made in 2 lakh rupees and 1 lakh rupees for operations. So as a format, they had to, the artists came there with 4 or 5 artists in one company, and they made 12 comic books on one theme of Rajasthan. Somebody made on the legends of Rajasthan, somebody made on the forts of Rajasthan and the food of Rajasthan, different topics. There are 7 of them right now working on creating 12 comic book each. They are funded with 25 lakhs as a grant, so they don't have to return that money. But because it's a Rajasthan-based idea, the government of Rajasthan is buying 4.5 lakh copies of each to be put into the system. So I'm saying that even in different states, different art forms can see this marriage happen. So I think that's just a clue, but then we can work on many other formats that can come into contemporary form.
So just to add one line to that, how many people here have actually tried their hand at Kerala mural themselves? They may be bad at it, doesn't matter, but at least try it. Right? So there you go. One of our alumni, what she's done is she just published, it's a coloring book for adults. And it was very weird when she pitched the idea, and I was like, okay. And then we funded it. The institute funded her creation, and then Amazon ended up publishing it. So essentially, it has got 16 different art forms from India. Each of them has 4 pages, which you can actually tear out. So there's a QR code, you scan it, you learn about the art form, you look at how you paint it out. On the right side, you've got the outline drawing. Color it yourself, frame it, and put it up. Each page tears out, right? Now, this is something that you kind of start to activate that interest in kids all over the country. Amazon sold some 30,000 of those copies in schools. So, I don't know, hopefully some of them has reached Kerala as well.
You know, I just want to apologize to the members of the next panel for delaying. We'll bring it to a close, but I just want to say, this panel, by the way, this panel has been passion to profession. We are professionals, but you can see the passion behind our conversation, right? Thank you.
Yeah, so we thank you all for your patience, even though it's immediately after the lunch. Please don't leave the hall. I have an announcement. We're all talking about AV, GC, animation, visual effects, all stuff. So most of you have seen Bahubali movie? All of you? Most of you? RRR? So we have Pete Draper here, who is the VFX expert behind these movies. Pete is here. So he is having ours was all lecture, but Pete is going to show you what exactly happens behind the screen. He is going to host a masterclass at 4 o'clock, so please attend the session. Thank you all.